Hello, gorgeous people, and welcome to yet another episode of the Dare to Rest podcast. I'm already buzzing. If you could see the woman sitting in front of me right now, she's already dancing, vibing, and all the things. You don't get to see her, but I do. And this is an episode I have an idea we're going to ruffle some feathers, and I'm perfectly okay with that. And it's also just going to be a fun, vibey, interesting conversation about healthy hustle. Because what the fuck is that? And why was it really that we started hating hustle? This is actually a conversation I've been wanting to have for a while, but I didn't want to have it with myself. And then I'm so fortunate that I have so many gorgeous women in my world and in my life. And one of them happened to just create a reel the other day, ranting hard and beautifully about why is it that we hate hustle? So I've invited this wonderful, wonderful human, this wonderful woman, Tinli, onto the podcast today. And 2 seconds, Tinli, you get to just explode. I know you're so ready. I want to just say Tinli is a woman I met in a mastermind we were both in a few years ago. I've been looking on her online and we're writing on occasion to each other. And Tinli is an OBM and the systems daddy to 6, 7, 8-figure female entrepreneurs. But she's also just a human with a shitload of energy, just like so many of the rest of us. And you're the perfect human to have this conversation with, Tinli. Come on in and say hello because everything is buzzing in you. Give it away.
Hello! Immediately exploding with energy. I am so blessed to be on here. And there's no better person to have a conversation on hustle than on a podcast called Dare to Rest. I feel like this is the perfect person, and like we are just meant to have this conversation together. So I'm exploding. Like let's have a blast with this. So
yeah,
and thank you also for thinking of me, for introducing me. I'm excited to dish the tea out today.
Ooh. Fancy. So I'm gonna ask you what that reel was about just in a second, but I want to ask you a little bit of a more personal question first. Have you always had a healthy relationship to hustle?
That's a wonderful question, and I would be surprised if anyone said yes off the bat. Like I'd be shocked. So, as just from that answer alone, my answer is no. I have not always had a healthy relationship with hustle because, as many of us grow up, especially women, I find that we are grown up being praised for burning out every resource in our body and minds. Anything in our capacity, just stretched and pushed and exhaust all the storage containers to achieve X, Y, and Z. And I think for me, who is half Chinese, and I absolutely love my Eastern Asian heritage, and also being half white, and I grew up in a small town where everything was about the achievements you could list on your resume from the age of 15. And how does that even make any sense? So you're constantly being pushed to be the best on the volleyball team and to have the top grades. And you have to be in all the AP classes. And so and also as the older daughter, I always felt like I had to be constantly pushing to be the best form of myself. And it is still to this day something that I work on within myself, that I can take off time on the weekends to not think about my business or my work or how can I improve this or do this better and while there's nothing wrong with aiming for the best version of yourself, there's also a limit to how much, you should also be filling your cup as much as you are draining it to make sure you're being taken care of. So, no, I haven't, but that's why I'm excited to talk about that today because I also think there's nothing wrong with hustle. It's just how we view it.
Exactly. And that's where we're going in. I just wanted to ask that question because neither of us want to appear like the sainty, I've got everything under control and I've never made a mistake in my freaking life. Like I've also been there, been burned down. I've had stress. I thought I left it all behind. Then it became clear to me that I took it all into my business, all the things I thought I had left behind. And it's a fucking journey. But
Mhm.
let me ask you, what was the message in that reel that got me fired all up about talking about this topic? What was your message?
Mm-hmm. So I immediately opened that reel, and I'm so glad because I was holding on to that conversation and wanting to talk about that on my content for years. But it felt like a lot of the people in the space wanted to lean into more of a soft era. I love that for them. But the thing that I opened up that reel with was, can we stop villainizing hustle? And why, since when was having a strong work ethic and wanting to bust your ass written off as a bad thing?
Mm. And that is just, we could end the podcast there, but let's not do that, because that in and of itself is a very, very interesting question. When did hard work become a bad thing? Because I so agree with you. It definitely is not. I have that innate feeling of anything worthwhile is worth putting effort into. Because if everything we get in life just comes to us so freely, so effortlessly, we're not going to be able to appreciate it the same way. We simply aren't, because that's just not how we are. That's not how we are arranged as human beings. We can be excellent at gratitude and seeing beauty and loving life, but there's just something about, I have a term in my business that I just call getting your ass in the arena. And this really is what it's all about. You gotta get skin in the game. Get your ass in the arena, because when you're in that arena, when you feel the blood and the rush and the feelings and all the things, that's actually energizing you so much. And that's
Exactly.
healthier hustle.
Yes, it's there's and I think this comes from someone, and please tell me also if you're that way too. I know that we tend to put people in these two different groups of working to live or living to work. And I think a lot of people have then decided to just put working to live on this pedestal. And that's when you get the messages of like, oh, you get to like work from your laptop on the beach or something, and the like you get to take all these vacations and take like a whole month off, and the like, it's the you work is not the focus at all. And I love that. If people want, because there's so many things outside of work that you are enjoying, great. I love that for you so much. And that's absolutely correct. But the other side of it is the people that are the live to work are not the people that want to hustle their life away and don't want to have a life. That's not it. It's that we feel a deep fulfillment from what we're creating and birthing in the world. And you don't like anyone, whether you have your own business or you're in corporate, finding that passion, getting the skin in the game, getting in the arena, like you had said, and feeling the fire of being in this creation mode, of contributing to something for someone, for yourself, for this ultimate movement you stand for, and getting so lit up by doing the work, by putting in the effort, for just for the desire to create. And a lot of people, then you get these weird messages then from the other side that's like, oh, they're working until 10 p.m. That's unhealthy. And I immediately want to contribute. There's many things I can say to that. And I will immediately say, as someone who is neurodivergent, when I choose to be productive is not up to me sometimes. It does mean I take an entire afternoon off, but then I'm only working from 7 to 10 p.m. Now, immediately, some people, if you don't have the context, like, oh, she's working late evenings, that's unhealthy, she's in a hustle. What I'm saying is, I only worked 3 hours that day. What were you doing? Just to give it some context, right? And
Exactly.
so, but I also did it because I wanted to, because my energy was lit up. I wanted to create. I popped on some rock and pop music, and I'm like jamming out, singing at the top of my lungs and cranking out some work. If anyone looked at me during that, you'd think I was having the time of my life, and I was. But that's not hustle, right? A lot of people write that off as the late night evenings, and she wants to work, and like, oh, she's pushing herself. And there's a lot of messages in there I want to establish that we can talk about, which is my boundaries. I chose when I want, like, if my energy wasn't active during the day, I'm not forcing myself to work. I'm waiting until the evening when I want to work and I want to produce and create, and those hours are what it was. And I got the
Mm-hmm.
option to choose that. I got to put my boundaries in place for it. I wanted to create and pour my energy out into something. And I feel like I can keep going on and on about this, but I'll get off my soapbox here for a second. Like,
I put you on that box. You're so loud. You're so loud. But I think you're really touching on some really vital things here, because hustle is not just bad, innately bad. Hustle for performance, for proving something, for not having boundaries, for trying to catch up for whatever you felt was left behind. You probably have that feeling always, all the time anyway. That just doesn't work. So if it comes from that super forced place of, if I don't do this, shit's gonna hit the fan. We don't want that. We can call that the bad hustle. But the
yep.
hustle in itself is not bad, because the healthy hustle would then be, I have a drive. This energizes me. I feel pleasure from doing this. This is my passion. I'm working from my zone of genius. I'm allowing this flow just to flow when I feel the flow. And I do know and appreciate that both you and I are entrepreneurs, so we have more liberation in when we do the work than people in the classic corporate world. So I get how that's not always easy, but still there's that factor of, I actually get to turn my own light on. I don't need to wait for something external and all the conditions outside of me to be right in order to find that flow, to find my zone of genius, and to just ride on my freaking own energy.
Yes, absolutely. I really love the talking to people's current conception of hustle, and that's why it's gotten the reputation it has. And even speaking to, of course, people in corporate will experience different things than us, but bad hustle, whether in business or in corporate, is always this performative, like, I have to, I should, it's always like I have no choice, I have no control over the situation, and therefore I have to work. And I understand, again, being in corporate is going to be different from this. There's going to be certain things that you're going to have to do as part of your job, but you do get to put your own spin on it and also see that you can have passion for the work you do without needing to be in love with the work you're doing. And that can be the case for business owners too, is instead of seeing hustle as this like draining your energy, as like a working for the sake of working, for being busy for the sake of being busy, just so you can say I tweaked my sales page 14 times, or I sat at my desk until 6 p.m. because my boss wanted me to see me there. You can actually, if we put a spin on both of those, is I got to refine my message in a way I've never spoken about this offer before. Or I wanted to spend a bit more time reviewing this document so that the presentation I give tomorrow rocks the socks off of not only my boss, but the client that we brought in the room. And I'm excited to contribute to this role and give my heart and soul to it, even if it's not the thing that lights me up. That's okay. We're all going to end up doing things that don't light us up, but can we still find an innate joy and passion in things we create? And that is something I do want to speak to in, I have, for better or for worse, I am a US citizen. And there's a lot of people in this country that, it's all about making money. And it's all about just, how do I make as much money off of these people or this or whatever? And I feel like so many people in this country, I don't want to say my country, in this country, that are missing that innate joy of just creating and giving to people. And that is what I really think hustle is and should be, is a genuine joy and desire to show up, to put our heart and soul into something we're creating, and to have a finished product that represents our heart and soul. And that
Mm.
can be something as big as this like massive presentation that closes out 4 million in your corporate job. Or it could be, I got a sale off of my new course. It could be both sides of it. It's the same thing though, is you poured your heart and soul into something. And sometimes you get a great result. Sometimes you don't. But when you
Mm-hmm.
create something from that innate joy, you feel that fulfillment regardless of the outcome. Instead of having it tied to, I made this much money, I got this result, I got the promotion, but instead it's I put my heart and soul into something. I am so proud of me doing this. And even if I
Mm.
fall on my face, I am so proud of this. This is beautiful. And then
Yeah.
that's when hustle is it's a gift. Because no matter what, you are proud of what you've created and what you've done. And I think that's the piece of hustle that a lot of people miss. It's just working hard, but it's I birthed something from me.
Yeah, yeah, and this spoken like a true generator, talking about joy, because that really is where it all comes from. My word would have been passion, which is perfect for me as a manifesting generator. But we're talking about that same thing, that love that you get to find for the ability you have to express yourself through the work that it is that you actually do. And if you cannot find joy or passion about the task at hand, which you so beautifully explain so many ways to do, there's also the, okay, but if I still don't love this task, what does fulfilling this task allow me to do in the rest of my life? Is that putting my children in a private school? Is that driving the car I want? It's so much about the perspective, again, that leads to, can I do this and complete this work from a healthy perspective and let it energize me? Or is it that long, hard, heavy, draining, someone kill me energy? And it is so much a choice. And I really feel that we have to underline this. This is a sovereign choice. It's not dependent on your environment. Yes, your environment can definitely make it easier or harder to get into that vibe, but that's our responsibility as a sovereign human being.
Love the way you said that. It does bring in also the work to live or live to work I had mentioned earlier. Of sometimes, whether you have a corporate job or you have your own business or your whatever beautiful title in between, is we're gonna end up doing shit we don't want to do. That's
Period.
fine. Welcome to life. Now, it is a choice on how you want to see it done. There are so many things outside of our control in life. And I think part of being a human is also acknowledging that there's a lot of things we don't have control over. So, what do we have control over? Our sovereign being, ourselves. And so, if you are given a task or a project that is like, this is the worst thing to ever end up on my desk,
I
what's going to
quit.
happen?
I'm out of here.
Yeah. It's like, are you going to just throw the papers up and leave it? Then what does that suddenly do for you? If you abandon it all, then you're not making money. You can't pay for your kids' college. You can't, what about that vacation you planned in a couple of months? There's a lot of extra things. So, can we pour our heart and soul knowing what the outcome will be from you pouring your heart and soul into it? It doesn't have to be a beautiful finished product. It could be getting the money to pay for that vacation. It could be getting the money to invest in that program you wanted to invest in, the house you wanted, whatever it is. You can still pour your heart and soul into something knowing that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, instead of this is the worst thing I've ever done. This is draining my energy. I'm going to do the bare minimum because I just can't stand it. You are missing out on an opportunity to stretch yourself, to actually create something that you are proud of the outcome, whether the outcome is the project or what's on the other side of the rainbow.
Exactly. And here I'm just coming back to the mentor that we had in common a few years ago, who always talked about making sure that you got an ROI. So for anyone who's in the financial industry will know that that is short for return on investment. But this return on investment does not only have to do with money or any other financial goal. Hallelujah. Because your return on investment can be inner peace. It can be the ability to put a smile on someone's face. It can be the ability to put a smile on your own face. And really, it can be anything. It can be your helpfulness. It can, again, be the fact that you get to go home early or late to your children, that you get to bring takeaway home. It can be anything. But again, we come back to that idea that it's your responsibility to make sure that you get a return on your investment. And your investment might be having your own business. Your investment might be having a corporate job. It's still an investment, but you have to make sure that you get a return and not just wait for the outcome or external circumstances to validate you and make you feel like, ooh, now it was worth my time. Now it's worth it. Because if that's how we live, we're going to live a very poor life.
Absolutely that. I think with ROI, because most people do see it as a tangible outcome, especially monetary. It really doesn't have to be that. There's so many others. Even when we started talking about this and I was listing out tons of resources, I think this was before our call too, I had listed out that there's tons of resources at your disposal. And money wasn't even the first one I said. I said time first, because that is your biggest currency. And you have money and you have your capacity, you have your energy. And can you feel fulfillment in yourself and in your decisions on one of these currencies that isn't just money? So when you put the extra time into doing a project or figuring out a system and it gets you back like 2 hours of your time, holy shit, right? You didn't make money off of that, but you are still feeling pride in what you've created for yourself. And so anything you create, anything you do, anything you put your time and effort towards, you can get an ROI out of it as long as you see that you get the choice to create the ROI out of it. It is an entire internal decision on that. No matter what you're creating in business or in your job, that you get to choose that I get something out of this no matter what. It's not I have to, and like, this is the worst experience, and you just getting down on yourself. You are the one doing that, not your boss, not your client, no one else. You're the one who's saying that. And it's taking that radical responsibility for I get to create my own happiness and be proud of the happiness that I'm creating. And that is your ROI. Just wanted to
For sure.
echo that.
And then there's the lesson in really learning, as you say, that the ROI isn't always tangible. We can't touch it, we can't see it. And it just came to my mind. I have such a great example of this. A few months ago, I joined a space to do some facial exercises, and I had this idea like, oh, in 2 months' time, everything that I wanted to change would just be changed, and yay, everything's going to be so good. A lot of expectations, a lot of pressure on the output for the output to validate if it was worth of my time. 2 months in, I did get some results, but I was not where I wanted to be. So I had the option of saying, I failed, or look for, okay, so was it pleasurable for me to participate in this for 60 days? Yes, it actually was. Okay, do I feel differently in my own skin? Yes, I actually do. Do I see or feel any other improvements? Yeah, I actually feel my skin in general, just my complexion is just better. My skin feels healthier. No one else can see it, but it feels different in me. And that's really the things we need to learn how to validate and to also use as our fuel to keep going, not just the performance, the validations, all the things. That's what helps us stay in that healthy hustle and to continue to want to do it when we're able to see those other results.
Yeah, 100%. And also wish that everyone could see you are absolutely glowing. I'm very grateful I get the privilege of seeing that. And it is true that I feel like your example is a perfect example of why people have then villainized hustle. Because for most people prior to this, before we've had this conversation, if they pushed, quote unquote, pushed and did all the hard work and everything for 2 months and saw very little results, immediately becomes oh, look at all this hustle I did. It didn't get any results anyway. And then then there was no point in working hard. Hold on. Incorrect.
Please stop yourself.
And so that's where hustle gets the negative reputation versus there was so much you took out of those 2 months that wasn't just my skin is the most the epitome of healthy, skin ever, right? Or, my face couldn't be more beautiful, which is obviously already the case. But instead, it's I showed up for myself daily. I built a habit. I see where I could be in a few months' time. This has been so much fun for me to do. And so, even though I don't have the perfect outcome right now, I see where I could continue to do this and have a blast doing it. And this is another thing I want to speak more on in my content too, is we've completely ignored the beauty of the journey and
Mm-hmm.
celebrating the journey, because hustle is a journey. It is the everything we're doing to get to that final outcome. And so we've glorified, and I will speak a little bit more to this on the entrepreneur side because I can. Apologies to the corporate people. I barely lasted a year before I hightailed out of there. So uh, you'll have to.
It took 17 years. So in between us, we averaged it out pretty well.
Perfect. Works out for us. That when you go on social media in the entrepreneur space, it's immediately be like, I made $100 million in 3 days. And it's like,
doing nothing.
Those posts have started to drive me crazy because no one gives any context for it anymore. And I have a post I've already drafted up where I've compared the sexy results I've helped my clients with the context sentence that no one speaks to. For example, one of my clients, we got a 33K launch in less than 3 weeks on a brand new course. And the only thing she did was show up for a master class. She taught a 1-hour master class. That was it. Everything else was created by team. Now let's speak to that for a second. Most people would be like, 33K in 3 weeks. That's the post. I'm like, no. So she hired team. We had a hot audience of 200 people already we had been nurturing. We have an email list of 4,000 people. Do you see there's so much other context that gets missed? But that was part of the journey. We would never have gotten to the destination if the journey wasn't part of it. And quite frankly, the journey was a lot of fun.
Because you put in the work, the passionate work like this can potentially be something. I discover myself, I evolve my business, I evolve all the things as I'm in it, as in the arena. And then you get to lean back and say, oh, hallelujah, something worked. Now I can celebrate it even more because I didn't only have everything was happy and joyous and everything on the way. Hopefully you could find it. But there were also moments of despair where you wanted to throw everything out and you wanted to fire the team and you just wanted to quit the business because that's just a fucking part of it.
That's exactly it. And quite if you think of it like a roller coaster, right? If the roller coaster was a flat line, even if that flat line was high in the sky, you're going to get bored of it. No one wants to just experience the same thing. What brings us joy and makes us feel alive is the ups and downs. You would never know true happiness if you didn't know true despair. That's the reality. And so, part of the whole, being able to create, being on this journey is it's going to be really amazing. It's also going to be really fucking shitty. You're going to question yourself the entire time. You'll burn the business down, want to quit your job. You'll write the resignation letter 5 times. You'll fire the entire team. You think in your head, probably in a dream. And then you come back and you're like, all right, I've now looked at myself. You probably sit in front of the mirror and you do the shadow work and you're like, all right, I see, I see where we can improve things. And, this is the bottom. It can only go up from here. You come up and you experience the high and everything's amazing. And that feels like that final result. And then everything drops again. And you keep going and welcome to life because this is just what we experience. And all of this is part of the journey, right? It's not like all of us, just to get a little dark here for a sec, it's not like all of us are like, yeah, well, I died at the age of 87 because we're just celebrating the final outcome of our life. No, we're living life. We're not trying to jump to the final destination. We're all going to end up in the same place. So how are you making the most of this journey that we've got called life, and then putting your heart and soul into creating and feeling good about it? Our entire life is a hustle, but it's a good thing. It's a journey.
The good hustle. And that's exactly what I preach inside Dare to Rest is how the fuck do you create that life that you love? Where it feels exciting and fun to wake up to, not because you need to fire your team or drop your partner or burn your children or I don't know, whatever it is that we want. But
People
just
had the intrusive thoughts. It's so normal.
anyone thinks that. Um, or at least just like sell them to someone else. That's the whole deal. We don't need to change everything in our environment to come back to that space of feeling whole and happy and joyous. And it sounds like the biggest fucking cliche, but in the end, on our deathbed, what everyone wants, what was that they wish that they had spent more time in gratitude, enjoying their life. Some people also say that they hustled too hard, and maybe they did, but then they did the hustle wrong.
Mhm.
And that's what we want to shift. And there's actually another thing I talk a lot about in the Dare to Rest world, because I have a saying that we need a safe place for our dreams to land, and your body is that place. So I am very curious, apart from all the beautiful things we've already talked about in mindset and how we can lead ourselves and take responsibility for, you can say, our mental and emotional landscape. What do you do to support yourself in your physical vessel, that temple that is your body?
Yes. Oh my gosh, I can do an entire episode on just that because that actually has been my focus this entire year is we have only one material vessel to contain our life in this life. And how are we nourishing and pouring into it so it can support everything we're creating? And it's so interesting because for women, especially, we are constantly told to hustle our bodies to be that perfect version of it in some capacity. This is why I can do a whole talk on just that.
I have an
But
entire
coming
membership for this.
I love that so much. Thank goodness. And so going back to just the actual question of like how are we, you know, creating a safe space in our bodies so that, we always have a home to come back to, we can pour into ourselves. And so when things outside of us are outside of our control, we can come back to what we can control, which is us. And how can we just show ourselves so much love, so much compassion, no matter what we're creating? Because one of the things that, I like to be reminded of and tell myself is the only person I truly have to depend on for my entire life is me, truly. If you're blessed if you have family, if you have friends, if you have kids, of course, but the person that you are with 24/7 is you. And so when things are changing outside of you and you are working hard and you are hustling and everything, how can you show compassion to yourself of I'm choosing to do this. I'm choosing to fuel myself. I'm choosing this. And you see, even just reminding yourself that everything is your choice. You truly do have a choice with everything. For people in corporate, I feel like a lot of the times you feel like there's so much you do not have control. That perhaps is true. But if you really think about it, you technically do have the choice to quit your job and not listen to your manager. You technically do have that choice. When I said that, you're probably like, yeah, well, we'll have to pay the bills and what. But then you're choosing to stay in your job to pay the bills. You see how that's
Mhm,
still your
mhm.
choice. The same thing for entrepreneurs. If you have a client that is not the best client you've ever had, fire the client. No, but I like the money that they bring. So you're choosing to keep the client to see where there's a choice. And so I think what helps us feel confident and safe in our bodies is knowing that, especially because our nervous systems, when things happen, you get tense, you feel the lump in your throat or your gut and like the fire and then the ice feeling that wash over your body when your nervous system is activated. Like, hold on a second. Deep breaths. Remind first of all, your house is not on fire, your family is not being murdered in the next room, everything is, you're not being attacked by a tiger. That is what your nervous system is generating. Everything is okay. Deep breaths. Land back in your body. And realize that everything is your choice. When you're choosing to hustle, when you're choosing to soften, when you're choosing to show up, when you're choosing to hibernate, it is your choice. everything in this physical representation of you is your choice.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that helps you feel the safety to make a decision and realize that everything is your choice. I feel like I need to come back to this, even for saying this out loud for myself. Like, I may not be able to choose what shape my body takes or choose, exactly how much energy I have at 11:30 a.m. today. But I can choose then how I want to show up, what I want to do
And you
when
did
that
make a
happens.
choice whether you had breakfast or not.
Exactly. That was a choice. And so
So
I find
do you have like some really, like, give me 3 specific things that you do to support yourself in having this amazing energy that you have in a sustainable way? Like, what are your, and I know this is never the full picture, so don't just try to go replicate whatever Tinli is doing. There's a lot behind it, but what are your 3 key things to keep yourself healthy and happy? And I say grounded to grow, because that's really what it's all about.
Mhm, mhm. So, one of the first things I'll say is I love having a flexible, adaptable, mindset with everything that I do and create. And that has helped a lot. So, because there are a lot of things outside of my control, I always remind myself what I do have control over. And that does really help because because there's so many things happening. It is chaotic. And right now, because there are so many things out of our control, a lot of people's nervous systems are a lot more activated these days, especially in the past year, especially if you are a fellow US citizen like myself, or unfortunately, if you're not, if you are here in the US. There's a lot of shit. And, I won't, obviously, this is not the space for, we'll not get into it. But
Let's not get into that, then we'll never end.
yeah, you are absolutely right. And so, what am I doing to, take care of myself or to, um, what am I doing in my body, to be in that? I was trying to remember the exact wording you said for the question, but part of that is just being flexible in myself. Like, what can
Mhm,
I do to have control of the situation? What can I do to make things better for me or for my client or for my family? And what
mhm,
is that one action that I can do to make that happen? And instead of collapsing in on myself when stuff happens outside my control, which that is to say, we're only human, let yourself spiral if you have to, but set a timer on it, because if you go too off
exactly.
on it, you'll never come out. Give yourself 20 minutes to wallow, to despair, to sob. I'm a huge crier, so if you're also a crier, welcome to the party. Let's sob it out together, and then come back. And what is that one thing I do have control over that I can do? So
Mhm,
that's one of it, just from a mental perspective.
mhm.
Or a physical perspective, moving your body, highly recommend in any capacity that you can. I personally am a huge weightlifter. And so if you can find this option to move your body however your body wants to move, please do that. I will say this for anyone who needs to hear this today: diet culture can go fuck itself. You do not have to do cardio and walk 10,000 steps a day, and you have to do this, and you have to work your butt, and you gotta do, fuck all that shit. That is a whole podcast episode on its own. But I want you to move your
I
body.
literally just wrote a piece of content today saying, do not walk 10,000 steps a day. It's not going to save your ass.
No, in fact, it's gonna make you more miserable if you're like, I have to do it, because again, you feel like you don't have control over doing it. Fuck that. Instead, you're gonna be sitting at your desk and your body's gonna tell you what it wants. It'll tell you it wants to sit in that chair for the next 2 hours. Sit in the fucking chair. Don't be like, oh, I have to go move my body because Bob on this fucking influencer page said that if I don't get on the treadmill, that I'm gonna be the most unhealthy I've ever been. So instead, okay, let me, we're gonna come back to it here for a second and just remind you that
Okay, that was 2 things. Flexible, adaptable mindset. 2, physical, moving your body. What's the third thing?
move your body in a way that feels good to you as your body's communicating to you that it wants to move. Just had to pop off there for a second. So, can you repeat the question to me one last time so I can answer this?
I was asking for the 3 things you do or you've built for yourself to really make sure that you have that stable, healthy foundation for your dreams to land?
Yes, absolutely. So 100% the having the growth mindset, being able to move my body, take care of, like, listen to my body and what it needs. So that does come from a physical moving perspective, also from a fueling perspective. And the final piece has been having a network that I could lean on. So of course I want to be able to, depend on myself because I have myself, but it also doesn't mean I do this entire thing alone. That has very much helped. So it was having a one on one business mentor that I've had since I started my business and knowing I could depend on her. I have not taken any breaks with her for 6.5 years and we're still
Wow.
going strong. I have a personal trainer who understands my health and how to move. I have a nutritional therapist that sees how I want to take care and nourish my body. I've got friends and peers in this online space we bounce ideas back and forth with. I have a family that I love and adore that will support me through these funky ass ups and downs. They've seen me at the highs, they've seen me at the lows, they're still here. Same with friends outside of business. Don't ever do this shit alone. There's so much in life we don't have control over, but we can control who is in our life, who is in our support network, who we want to give and receive from. You do have a choice in that. So make sure you're surrounded by people that also see that have that kind of growth mindset, like I mentioned for number one,
Mm.
that want to see you listen to your body and take care of yourself for number two, and that also want you to see that for them too, so that you guys can fit together like a puzzle piece, have that safety net. When things are out of control, you can control who you receive support from.
Yeah. I love that, and I love that's how we're gonna end this, because that really also, it calls forth the whole piece about the return on investment, making sure that you place your ass in the arenas that you need to be in to get the support that you want, because we have, and we all have, this innate idea that we're supposed to be able to handle everything ourselves, and we can, but we don't have to. And that is very much also that part of the healthy hustle, saying, yes, I can do all of this alone, but it's not necessarily the best approach. I have nothing to prove, but I can prove what I want. Tinli, this was everything. It we didn't quite do the, the timeline. But you know what? As I said, when fire meets fire, you never know what's going to happen. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. This was, I could not have chosen a better guest for this episode, and we could continue this, and maybe we do. I feel like there's more fire in us. So let's see what the next episode is going to be. But for now, I want to thank you. And for everyone listening, if you are curious to find out who Tinli is, you're fucking in for a treat. I will share all her information in the comments to this episode, so you can go check her out. She's a piece of life. Like, go say hi to her, just to get the vibe, So thank you, babe, so much for being here. It really was my pleasure.
Thank you so much. This has been a blast. And please do, if anyone has any questions, it is very much a vibe on my Instagram page, and I do love to personally respond to people. Just want to say hi.
Just want to say hi. That's amazing. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We hope that the message came through, that there's actually a healthy hustle available, and we highly recommend you to choose that path, because it's just going to be so much more fun. So thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you again soon.